name is Jasiri X. I'm a hip hop artist and activist based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm known for making music around social justice issues. I'm also one of the founding members of an anti-violence organization called One Hood, and the founder of the One Hood Media Academy, an academy that teaches young black men how to analyze media and also how to create their own media. Just got back from a trip we went to Israel and Palestine, and it was, I would say, eye-opening to say the least. Definitely a life-changing experience. I really wasn't really prepared for the level of oppression, discrimination, racism, colonialism that I witnessed. When I got a text message from a friend of mine, a writer filmmaker named Dream Hampton, like, you want to go to Palestine, and I'm like, yeah, I want to go, and I knew, I heard, what I'm saying, about the oppression, in regards to the occupation. I definitely was supporting, the Palestinians' right to exist, to have their own state and country, but I didn't know that the level of racism, white supremacy, discrimination, oppression was so deep, so in your face, that it shocked me, and it definitely was something that, coming back to the United States, I felt like as an artist I had to speak on and say something about it, because to understand that this is 2014, yet that level of just outright oppression and criminalization exists. Not only does it exist, but it exists with support from my taxpayer dollars, and our taxpayer dollars here in the United States, was it was man, I mean, it was like painful. It was heartbreaking. Delegation was put together by the Carter Center, and so they sponsored a trip. So it was pretty interesting, because really, you start to get a sense that this isn't your average overseas trip. Even prior to going, the fact that we had to have a conference call, and you really have to be prepared before you even get to Israel. And this is, to me, one of the biggest red flags, that something is wrong, because if the state of Israel feels like they're treating Palestinians justly, that they're treating them in a moral and righteous way, then it shouldn't matter that me as an American wants to come over there and see what's happening with the Palestinian people. That shouldn't matter. You know what I'm saying? It should be like, oh, go ahead. Here's the Palestinian people right here. See, the treatment of them is just and fair. But that's not the case. And really, we had to be prepared before going over there. Like, you can't go to Israel and just show up and say, yeah, I plan on going to Palestine. I mean, you can, but now you're subjected to hours of questioning. There was just a case where a group of professors went over there just to do an academic exchange with universities in Palestine, and they were questioned for over 10 hours. And so we really had to be prepared to go over there to say, like, we had a letter, we're on a study trip of the Holy Land. We're going to these places. We couldn't say West Bank, we definitely couldn't say, Palestine. So to me, right there is a flag, and it was really, a sense of to where you're almost made to feel intimidated, upon going in, as if, like, going in and then going to Palestine somehow, like, that's wrong, and when you go over there and you see all of these signs where they have these big red signs like you're entering Palestinian controlled territory, and it's dangerous, and your life's at risk, and it's really a thing where they don't want you to go to see Palestinians in the Palestinian controlled territories, because when you go there, you see how oppressive they are. You see these discriminatory practices. When you go to the Palestinian territories, you have to go through these checkpoints where, if you're Jewish, you can just cruise right on through the checkpoint. But if you're Palestinian, you have to walk through the checkpoint. You have to go through all these searches and security. You have to put your finger on a screen and then read your fingerprint. And it could take hours, and it could be a situation where you might go and the checkpoint is shut down that day, and it's just whether you had to work or whatever. It is what it is, and it's surrounded by soldiers with machine guns. So that's, to me, what they don't want you to see, and that's why you can't just show up, at the airport in Israel and say, I'm going to Palestine. So that was the first thing to where I realized, like, before going, this isn't going to be your normal trip. And I'm literally getting off the plane, and I remember walking through the airport and like preparing, getting ready. Like, I might be questioned. I might be questioned for hours just because I'm somebody that wants to see what's happening, you know, with Palestine and Israel. And to me, that's a huge red flag. So our itinerary was pretty definitely full. We ended up going to we went to Jerusalem, we went to Bethlehem, we went to Nazareth, we went to Hebron, we went to Ramallah, and then we were able to make a slight change to our itinerary to go to South Tel Aviv to see the African refugees. While we were there, all these protests started to and rallies started to jump off among the African refugee community because they're being denied refugee status by the state of Israel, and basically being treated as almost like a non-people. Even though there's 60,000 of them in this neighborhood in South Tel Aviv. So we were able to actually go there to see them, meet with them, talk to them, and witness what was happening as far as their organizing firsthand. So it was definitely a packed. We were there for 7 days, and literally, like, almost every moment of that 7 days was we were going somewhere and finding out some information about the occupation, and really the people's stories, people's heartbreaking stories of the oppression that they were going through, and how people were resisting. And then we went to East Jerusalem, and it was a neighborhood in East Jerusalem, and we connected with a organization called Just Vision, and Just Vision does these incredible documentaries to highlight, the injustices that are taking place, in Israel because of this occupation. And they showed us this documentary called My Neighborhood about, these forced evictions that were taking place in the very neighborhood that we were in, and it I really was watching this in disbelief. I mean, we see, this Palestinian family who've been in this house for over 50 years, this 11-year-old Palestinian boy and his grandmother, and you literally watch as the Israeli army kicks the door in, takes everything they own, throws it into the street, and then moves a Jewish family into their home who, said they had some claim on their house before that family lived there. And it was, I just remember watching this and thinking, like, no, this is happening, and being so angry. And then, when the documentary's over, the young man Muhammad, who was now 15, and the focus of the documentary, he comes in and he takes us to what formerly was his home. Now they went from living in his house to being forced to be in one room of the house, 12 people, and now they have to live next door to the very people that took over the majority of their home. It's not like, I mean, these people are playing loud music. They got dogs. They can't tell them, turn that down, or you're bothering us. And then every day they have to walk by the very people that have taken their home from them. And these people are mocking them and making fun of them, these Jewish settlers. And I'm thinking to myself, what other emotion would that invoke in somebody other than hatred for you? When they're there minding their own business, just trying to live their life, and you come in and take the little they have. So it reminded me of, I believe it's in the Holy Quran, where it says persecution is worse than slaughter. And I just remember, I was so angry, and I was like, I'm just putting myself in their shoes. And Muhammad actually does spoken word, and he did a spoken word poem, but I could see the pain and the hurt in his face. And, you know, being there at that point for maybe 2 hours, I was so enraged. And I can't imagine that's your everyday life.